Okay, I just wanted to preface this video by saying that this is a full step-by-step guide on installing Nobara Linux. It's actually a pretty long video. It's about 45 minutes long. I am a bit of a slow talker, so feel free to, speed things up on YouTube. I just want to say that if you are running into problems at any point during the installation, I recommend you to navigate to the Nobara Linux webpage, and there's a link to their Discord. It is a community full of people that would be more than happy to help. You can also leave comments on the video, and I will try and get back to you. I am not super regularly checking my comments, but I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. And with that, I hope you enjoy the video. Today I wanted to make a video on installing a Linux operating system and setting it up and starting to play games on it. Linux is becoming more popular than ever, and I'm sure many people are interested but feel like they don't want to take those first steps. And today is a tutorial on doing just that. So hopefully you feel more confident and want to try it out. So the operating system in particular that we are going to be using is Nobara. Nobara Linux is based off of Fedora, and it is developed by Glorious Eggroll. If you have a Steam Deck or even just come across something in a forum called ProtonGE, that is Glorious Eggroll. That's what the GE stands for. He is a Red Hat developer, so he is very familiar with Fedora. And yeah, so let's just get started. When you go to nobaraproject.org, you're greeted with this page. I'm just going to click download Nobara. Now he has several different versions. The official is what we'll most likely be going with. It comes standard with KDE. If you're unfamiliar with KDE versus GNOME, don't really worry about it. You can just go with the official. Some people just prefer GNOME, and that's all there is to it. The KDE specific version is just default KDE with no changes to it. And then he also has a Steam Home Theater PC version if you want to set up your computer more as like a console rather than a desktop. And he also has a Steam handheld version which mimics what is like on the Steam Deck. And then he also has NVIDIA versions of those. Not every single one of them, but he has NVIDIA versions with the NVIDIA drivers pre-installed. Now, with the NVIDIA versions, from my understanding, they only support RTX 2000 series or newer. 10 series or older are unsupported. I also believe it doesn't support the 16 series. So like the 1660 and the 1650, I believe are not supported currently, and that's just because the proprietary drivers are soon to drop them. And yeah, so if you do have a GTX 16 series or older, I would recommend just going with the official version as well and using the Mesa NVIDIA drivers. On the system that we're going to be installing on is an entirely AMD system. I'm not particularly AMD or NVIDIA. It's just the current configuration that I have is all AMD, and so we'll be going with that. So I'm just going to hit download. Okay, so now that we have our Nobara ISO, we are going to go and grab Balena Etcher. Balena Etcher is just a tool that will take this image, this ISO, and create a bootable flash drive of it. It supports, you can download, just at the download, you have Windows, Mac OS, and in my instance, I'm going to be using the Linux version. So here we have Balena Etcher. I'm going to extract here. Okay, and we're just going to go in here and we're just going to run Balena Etcher. And I'm going to flash from File. We already know it's in our Downloads folder, Nobara 41. We're going to select our target. We're going to select our flash drive. And we're just going to hit flash. It's going to ask for a password. In Windows, it'll most likely bring up a administrator prompt. And we're just going to flash. It's going to be very quick. This shouldn't be a very long process. I mean, it depends on how fast your flash drive is, of course. If you have an older flash drive, it might take longer. And you'll just let it keep going. And again, it shouldn't take very long, but I will skip to its finishing. Okay. So we have finished. The flash was complete. It was successful. And here we can see the flash drive got renamed to Nobara 41. And it is not mounted. So we are going to close this, and we are ready to restart and get into our BIOS or boot options. So we're just going to go ahead and restart. One thing I would like to mention is not every BIOS has a boot override option. So when you're first doing your boot, most BIOSes will have most motherboards will have an option to boot into your boot override. You'll have to look at whether if you're using something like a Dell or an MSI or Asus computer. I would recommend looking up on Google what key combination on keyboard would bring up your boot menu. So now that we are in our BIOS, I just went to my BIOS because I know it was easy to do this. I'm just going to go and boot to our flash drive, our USB disk 3.0, and I'm going to boot into the flash drive. Now you're going to have two different options. You can test this media and start, and what this is going to do is it's going to go through and test all of the files to make sure that the flash drive has no errors. Okay, so now that we are at our desktop, this is what we are greeted with. If you are connected to Wi-Fi at this point, you would want to connect. If you are wired, you don't have to do anything, you're already connected. So first it will ask you your language. I'm just going to go with American English. It's going to ask you for your time zone and your keyboard layout. You could even pick Dvorak. Now it's going to ask you for your name. I don't really put my name in like that. I'm just going to call it Hydra. This is Hydra PC. Okay. It's going to ask you to create a password. And this checkbox is actually very important. Reuse user password as root password. Whenever you need administrator privileges, you're going to need this root password. I prefer to use the same password for that root password. You can also set it to log in automatically when you boot the computer. And that's all. It's gotta repeat it. It's gonna tell you whatever password you want to set to it. It will tell you the password quality. If it says too short or something like that, if you choose you want to keep it, you can ignore that. So I'm just going to ignore this. And I'm just going to hit next. If you were trying to install this alongside in Windows installation, you would pick this first option. I have had a few experiences that have not gone so well doing this first option. Erasing the disk is usually your best option. And we are going to erase. We're gonna make sure we pick the right drive. I'm going to install it to my 2 terabyte. I'm not to. And I'm going to keep swap with Hibernate. And we're going to leave it on BTRFS. Okay. So now we can see our old partitions on the drive. We have a few different partitions. And it's going to erase that all and create the necessary partitions for the operating system, as well as create the swap directory. So what the swap does is it creates a directory, or creates a partition, not a directory, and caches what is in your memory to that partition, so that when your computer goes to sleep or hibernate, and then you wake back up, it will take that, what is in your memory, or what is in that partition, and put it back into your memory, so you can continue the tasks right from where you left off. So I'm going to hit next. And it is going to show us all of our choices previous to make sure that we didn't do anything wrong. And I'm going to hit install. And it will give you this warning message. It's going to make changes to my disk. You will not be able to undo these changes. That's true. Everything that is on the drive will be erased. So make sure before you do this, you back up all of the data that you need. You don't actually have to restart your computer. You can do it right from this flash drive operating system. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this drive. And I can go in here. This is my old. We're going to copy these just to show you. And I'm going to mount this drive. And it's always good to back up your data regularly, so I might as well do that. With that, I've backed up my documents. If there's anything else that you wish to back up, recommend you do that. And now that we have backed up everything, we are going to proceed and install now. This will take a few minutes. Again, if you're installing to a hard drive, it will take longer. If you're installing to an SSD, it will be faster. On an M.2, it will take about 10 minutes. So I will get back to you when it gets closer to being finished. Okay. So now we have finished. It'll ask us if we want to restart now, which we will, and we'll hit done. and we are greeted with our grub. It will automatically select that after a few seconds and boot into our operating system. Now on our desktop, we are greeted with our Welcome Nobara app. For the first few boots, I would recommend leaving this checked. And here we go. Again, Nobara, created by Glorious Eggroll, was designed to be as user-friendly as possible. So, from our very first boot, we've detected that this is a new installation. Before moving on, it is required that you perform a system update. Required is a strong language, but it's very much recommended to update. So just hit yes. This is the point where we're going to put in our password from earlier, and it will open this installation tool. Everything will happen automatically. It'll take care of most of everything that we would need on its own. The application might close and open again. That's nothing to be worried about. Just as things update and the installer, the updater itself updates, it will relaunch itself. This might take a few minutes, so I will get back to you when this is finished. During the update, you may see a few prompts like this. We found some missing optional video or audio codec packages or whatnot. I definitely recommend listening to this. Do you want to install them now? It is recommended, and I'm going to hit yes. So again, just follow the prompts, just read. Most of these things are self-explanatory. And now that it has done all of the fix-ups, we're actually going to start updating our system. So we're going to hit install updates. And this is one thing that I actually very much like in Linux over Windows, is the fact that I can see the individual packages that are being installed in the update. So in the future, if I have any problems, I can find which individual package is causing that issue and fix it. It's not like Windows, where if you have an update that causes issues, you have to roll back the entire update. You can specifically find the, I suppose, problem package and do something about it. Now, if you are unsure of what a package does, I do recommend not touching it. But it is one of the benefits that comes with Linux. And after you finish updating, you will be greeted with this message: system updates require a reboot. Do you want to reboot now? I'm going to hit yes. So we're just going to restart. Okay, here we are after finishing the update, and we're back in the Nobara welcome app. We can go through first steps. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can launch this. I would be very careful to not update to the proprietary driver if you have something older than a 1600 series, or 1600 series or older. But if you are on an AMD graphics card, you can download the ROCm drivers. If you're just gaming, you kind of don't have to worry about this. If you're on a 7000 series graphics card, I actually would recommend downloading the Mesa Vulkan drivers Git. But I am on a 6000 series graphics card, so I'm not going to download any of these. You can install apps from the software manager. They have a built-in one. Package manager. You can look for flat packs, packages, and install them if you want. A flat pack, you can just think of it as a deployable application. Basically, it's pre-configured, so when it installs, you just download it and it just starts working. Here you can install Kden Live or OBS, Discord, Blender. We will go through alternate ways of installing those. You can install ProtonGE. I believe Nobara already comes with Proton Plus. So what Proton Plus does is it allows you to download custom versions of Proton to use with Steam, Lutris, Bottles, or Heroic launcher. If basically Standard Wine or the Steam versions of Proton are not launching a game, you can try using a custom Proton version. You need to launch Steam, Lutris, Bottles, or Heroic first before Proton Plus will actually see them installed. We will be going through Steam and Lutris. Bottles is more of a, I would consider it more of a virtual machine application, where and Heroic Games is a lot like Lutris. I prefer Lutris, so that's what I'll be using. Okay, so I previously had an issue with my capture card. So this is a bit of a re-recording. So I just want to show you how to install the Discover Store so you can easily install flat packs, and these flat packs are just repackaged programs to make it easier to install. So because we are on Fedora, we're going to be using the DNF package manager. So you're just going to write sudo. That just basically means this line you're going to run as an administrator. DNF for the package manager, install, and the Discover Store is part of KDE Plasma. So it's actually called Plasma-Discover. And then you hit enter. It's going to ask you for your password, and it's not going to install it because I have it already installed. I can go ahead and show you something like OBS. I'll just remove it. DNF remove. That's how you would remove an application. DNF remove OBS-studio. And it's going to ask you, is this okay? Yes or no. Y for yes. And it's just going to remove it. Now a quick little trick. So you can do sudo DNF install OBS-studio. But if you don't want to answer the question yes, no, you just want to skip past that, you can put in a -y. That's just an auto yes. So sudo DNF install OBS Studio, auto yes, hit enter, and it's going to automatically install everything. It's not going to ask me for my input. And as soon as it finishes downloading and installing, I have OBS installed on my system. Now in the Discover Store, when it opens, it's an easy way for you to add and install applications. So instead of installing VLC through the terminal, I can just easily install the Flatpak. Or I could install Spotify, or Telegram, Blender. Tons of applications in here, make it super easy to use it. If you've ever used the Steam Deck, you are probably familiar with the Discover Store. You can use this to update Flatpaks as well as other parts of your system. You can download things like Kden Live, which is one of the better video editors on Linux, alongside DaVinci Resolve. However, DaVinci Resolve The free version is not as good as Kdenlive, in my opinion. Yeah, so there's tons of things on here. You can get Space Cadet Pinball. You can't even get that on Windows anymore. Feel free to look through here. It's just an easy way to install applications. Okay. So this is your pre-configured desktop is going to come with the update system here. I'm going to actually remove that. System settings. Inside of your system settings, and again, Linux has much more flexibility when it comes to personalization than Windows. And you can change your so to change your resolution and refresh rate, you'd go to display monitor. I'm going to leave it at 1080p 60 for now because I'm connected to my capture card. Here in the sound settings, you can pick which speakers or recording devices, microphones you want to use as default. You can connect to Bluetooth devices. You can set up KDE Connect. KDE Connect is a cool tool that would allow you to quickly and easily see and respond to text messages on your phone. You could send files to your phone or from your phone to your desktop. You can also download the KDE Connect app on the Play Store, and it's very useful, and you can do many things instead of just having to connect your phone to your desktop all the time. You can customize your wallpaper. Nobara comes with a bunch of different wallpapers for you to choose from. A lot of them are AI generated, but they're kind of amazing being what they are. Wallpaper you want. Here in colors and themes, there's a few different setup ones, Breeze Dark, Breeze Twilight, and the default, well, this is a customized KDE, but default for Nobara, which is their own global theme. You can also change your texts and fonts. You can change your power management, how long you want your display to stay on when you're just away. You can set it to automatically update. Here you can customize your name and username, and if you want to change your password. You can adjust date and time settings, time zones. You can change animations with the general behavior tab. If you wish for less animation, you just want Windows to open fast and be very snappy, you can drag this all the way to the right. You can turn off smoothing for scrolling. You can do a lot of things, and I do recommend going through that, playing with things. If you wish to update or change your desktop layout, it's as simple as right-clicking your desktop and entering edit mode. And then in the top left, you can add or manage widgets. And you can get new. And you can download new Plasma widgets, and it will take you to the store. Here you can find just little widgets that'll tell you the weather. You can get widgets that'll tell you about your processor's temperatures. You can get new global themes, new icon packs, as whatever you can think of can be changed. And I am going to configure my panel because I don't like that floating. And I am going to make it opaque as well. And I'm going to turn off the float. And I'm actually going to increase its height a bit. Now, here we have options to make it always visible. That's normal. Basically, becomes like a bottom bar. and will always stay there. You can also switch it to dodge windows. So say I open up Firefox and I want it down at the bottom. As I bring the window down, it will disappear, and I'll have to bring my mouse down to bring it back up. And you can also set it so that windows go behind. This is my least favorite option. I'll probably leave it on dodge window. Okay, now Nobara also comes with Steam pre-installed, and it also comes with Lutris pre-installed. So now we're going to be updating Steam. This is a very straightforward process. I do have extra drives. I need to configure them to mount. So while Steam launches, I'm going to let that update, but I'm also going to launch KDE Partition Manager. So obviously my 2 terabyte is mounted. That's my boot and root drive. But I also have a 4 terabyte 990 Pro. Now I'm going to edit the mount point, and I'm going to create a new folder within my user, and I'm going to call it 990 Pro, just so I know which drive it is, and I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to hit OK again, and I'm going to hit OK and save changes. So now if I mount this, I see my drive here, which is where I install my Steam games. And I'm just going to do the same thing to these. And from now on, when I restart my computer, the drive should auto mount to that location. So first step after you sign into Steam, let's go to Settings and scroll down to Compatibility and enable Steam Play for all other titles and restart. What that option is going to do is allow you to use Proton on every game in your Steam library. Okay, so now I'm going to add my Steam drive. I'm going to scroll down. This works just the same way as on Windows. I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a drive, and I'm going to add the 990 Pro and add. So now if I switch over to 990 Pro, it's going to see all of my games. And it's going to start downloading Proton versions. It's going to start doing the DRM checks to make sure that they are actually my games. Oh, and it's going to check my cloud syncs for my save files. Okay, I'm going to pair my controller now. Okay, and it's just that easy. And all of these games will now play. If you go to Properties, Compatibility, you can force a specific Proton version, but for the most part you won't need to do that. And if you come across a game that you have trouble with, you can go down to Proton Plus again, like I showed you earlier, and install a specific ProtonGE version, which I will grab the newest one. And I'll also grab 830 or 831. Grab 830. Just so that I have an older version of ProtonGE. And just, it just gives you more options if you come across a game that gives you some trouble. Now you won't be able to see them until you restart Steam. If you don't have your games pre-installed, you can just install them and games will run no problem. I'll launch Dirt Rally just to show you that it works. Play, accept. There's not a whole lot to it. Nobara makes it very easy. Steam's pre-installed. You launch Steam. You let Steam do its thing. You install the libraries. Or you install the runtimes, let Steam install its runtimes. And you're gaming. In-game FPS counter. I'll just put it in the top right. Do high contrast color. And I'll close that. Put it bottom right. And you can see the performance is great. I mean, I am running it at a lower resolution than I normally would, but the gaming performance in Linux is, from what I've experienced, on par with Windows. In some games, it's even better. My controller works just fine. I never had a problem. I'm using Gully Kit King Kong 3, the one with the back paddle buttons. It runs flawlessly. For the price, I do think it's a great controller. And I'm just going to crash out because I'm not very focused. Okay, one last thing I want to show you is how to install games and other applications using Lutris. So I've just installed The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt through GOG local installer, so I downloaded the executable. But Lutris does a lot more than just installing EXEs. So you can install a game from an executable if you do have it, like you've downloaded the installer through GOG. But say you want to download a launcher, so like Ubisoft Connect or whatever it's called now, EA Play or the Epic Games Store. You would just pick this first option, search the Lutris website for installers, and let's download the Epic Games Store. So Epic Games, and I'm just going to hit enter, and here we go. It's the only option, Epic Games Store. Just going to click it, and I'm going to hit install. It's going to ask me where I want to install it. I'm just going to leave it default. You can install it wherever you choose. I'm just going to leave it default and continue. It's going to download the Epic Games Launcher installer as well as the Ubisoft Connect installer. That's just because some of the games require the Ubisoft Connect to be installed to launch properly. And I'm just going to hit install. It's going to fetch the downloads from the official sources. And it's just going to run them. It's not going to take very long at all. Now, one thing I will say, with the Epic Games Store specifically, you can run into issues if the Epic Games Store needs to install an update. So I will show you what I'm talking about once this finishes. And here you can see it added shortcuts to your desktop. If you don't want these, you can just delete them. But by default, Lutris will go ahead and install ProtonGE 826 for you. So, and it will assign that by default for the Epic Games Store. Now, normally that would work fine, but because this is a new install, and I'm going to hit play, it's going to verify the updates. It's going to download the new update, and then it's going to, what it would normally do is close and then relaunch itself. But as you can see, it just crashed. If I hit play again, it's going to crash. So I'm just going to go to Configure, and I'm going to go to Runner Options. I'm just going to change the Wine version to the Wine HQ staging. System staging should also work, but Wine HQ staging I know for sure works. And I'm just going to select that, and I'm going to hit play. And then you're going to see quickly what the reason for it crashing. Then it will ask you to install Visual C++. It'll come up as a little pop-up window and say Wine Mono. I already installed it, which is why it didn't come up. But as you can see, it launches just fine now. And if I go back into the configuration and I go to Runner Options and I switch it right back to 826 and I hit play, it'll now launch no problem. It's just a weird little quirk with the Epic Games updates. So now I can show you what it's like to install an executable. So I'll go ahead and install my GOG version of Quake 2. So I'm going to install game. It's going to be Quake 2. Install. It's going to ask you where I want to install it. Again, I'm going to leave it default. It's going to ask me to choose the setup file, which is right here. So I'm just going to navigate to it and install. And you're just going to go through the installer like normal. Yes, I've read and accept the EULA. And it'll go ahead and install it. This should be very quick because Quake 2 is not very big. Now, if you go ahead and install a game and it's not launching, it's most likely because you'll need a redistributable, just like you would on Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that. I'm going to close. Let's see if this launches. Yeah, it'll launch, no problem. Okay. But say it doesn't launch. What you can do is hit this little up arrow right here and run an exe inside of a wine prefix. So each game, when you install it, has its own dedicated wine prefix. And this is what when you're installing a game, this is what you are selecting by choosing this directory. You're choosing where the wine prefix actually is. So you want to install within that prefix something like Visual C 2015. So you'd literally just navigate like normal, and you just want Visual C++ 2015, just like you would on Windows, and download the redistributable from Microsoft. I already have it installed, or downloaded, so I'm just going to run the exe. Again, I'm going to go here. I have a folder for them, and I will just run. Let's run 2022, and it'll go through the installation just like normal, and that's it. I've come across quite a number of games that was the fix. It just needed Visual C to be installed. Okay, so with that, I hope that you were able to follow along and you are ready to set out on your own. And I hope you enjoy your Linux operating system and stick with it in the future.